Will Ripple XRP hit $14.40 in 277 days? In this video, I'm going to explain how XRP can explode 2,300% and why that's a realistic price prediction. Often you'll see insane price targets for XRP from their community, and it honestly feels kind of clickbaity, fabricated, and outright dishonest. I've seen wild price predictions for XRP from $333 to $1,800 and even $9,600 per token. And then of course there's the infamous $589 for XRP. And with headlines like this, it's easy to see how the propaganda spreads and becomes a price echo chamber of the highest magnitude. For example, on August 1st, somehow XRP is expected to be priced at $9,761, or how an idealistic XRP price prediction is about $1,896, and how one market expert says he is not here for XRP to hit $3, $5, $18, but he's waiting for $333. And notice the language they use, market expert. Well, who is this guy? That's when XRP fanatics on Twitter pick up on it and these sensational posts get boosted. And in today's world, attention is king. The more outrageous, the more engagement you get, which incentivizes these very same people to continue posting nonsense. So for example, Dark Defender posted this. He's got about 100,000 followers. And as you can see here, he got 358,000 views, 43 bookmarks, 1.9K likes, plenty of retweets. And so that boosts the algorithm and it continues to get showed. And since he gets paid on that, well, guess what? He's likely incentivized to continue posting it. Or what about this post right here where this gentleman jumps into a wild estimation of 10% of a 1 quadrillion derivatives market value. And that would bring out each XRP token to about $1,896. And finally, of course, the most outrageous tweet of all, August 1st will be the day XRP gets priced at $9,761 and a total of 134,000 views with an insane amount of bookmarks. Still, if you're new to crypto or generally just don't have the time to keep up with every single piece of news and the tokenomics, then it's hard to know what's real, which is why in this video, I'll separate the facts from the fiction and show you exactly how I came to that $14.40 price target and why I did it in the time frame of 277 days. By the way, this video is for you if you're excited to learn how to use technical analysis and indicators to assess cryptos and develop a well-rounded outlook on XRP. I'll mostly be on the charts in this video, and by the end of it, you'll understand how I reached the target of $14.40 per XRP token, and I'll even give you a few key tips on selling. So if you're feeling blessed, comment 777. If you're feeling bullish, comment 777. And if you are going to be the first and richest person in your family tree, then smash the subscribe button. Before we dive in, a quick reminder that the opinions in this video are for informational and educational purposes only and do not constitute financial, legal, or investment advice. All investments, including cryptos, carry risks and potential losses. Always do your own research and consult with a licensed financial advisor. We are not licensed financial advisors, and relying on our content for financial decisions is at your own risk. By watching this video, you agree we are not responsible for any losses or damages, and we do not guarantee any specific results or outcomes. Some of the links below may be affiliate links, and we may earn a commission, which actually helps support this channel and helps us to create value-based videos like this. We also hold some positions in the cryptocurrencies that we talk about, but that's only because we do what we believe in. However, this should not be interpreted as a recommendation for you to do the same. With that said, let's get into the video. Now, just as a quick refresher, the current price around 60 cents per XRP takes us to a total market cap of $33.1 billion. Now, that is with a circulating supply of about 55.91% or 56%. In other words, if the total or max supply of XRP actually entered the space, then the fully diluted value would be close to double the current market cap. In other words, you don't really want too much more XRP flooding into the space because that will devalue each and every single token that you have, unless, of course, there's enough buy pressure. So there has to be far more demand to meet the supply. If the supply starts to increase but the demand remains the same, then the price will likely start to dump. And I'll show you an example of that in terms of volume here shortly. But when it comes to this market cap, let's just say everything stayed the same. All things being equal, there is, equal amounts of demand or even slightly more demand as the price climbs. Okay. In order for the price to 10x up to about $6, right? The market cap would also have to 10x to about $330 billion. Now that could be potentially realistic, but is it still realistic for XRP to hit, I don't know, a $5 trillion market, $20 trillion market cap, or even $100 trillion market cap? There's a lot of freaking crazy theories out there, but we'll talk about what's realistic here. So based on those wild price predictions that we just looked at, I actually had ChatGPT get the current price data, the current market cap data, and then kind of just do an analysis based on that and what the actual market cap would need to be at each one of these prices. And then I said, hey, be a little spicy. Let me know what you actually think or if it's realistic, but make some good examples. And here's what it had to say about $333 per XRP token. To reach a market cap of $19 trillion, XRP would need to surpass the combined value of many of the world's largest companies. This is more than the entire GDP of several countries. It's like expecting your local grocery store to out-earn Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft combined. More like this prediction is out of this world. At $1,896, a market cap of over $109 trillion USD is needed, in order of a magnitude larger than the entire current cryptocurrency market and far exceeds the total money supply of most of the world's major economies. This is akin to expecting a lemonade stand to outgrow the global beverage industry, a financial fantasy at best. And for the price of $9,761 per XRP token, the market cap would be needed of over $562 trillion, which is beyond the realm of reality, surpassing the total estimated wealth of the entire world. So you're thinking about this for a second. Does wealth go anywhere else? Is there any money left over for anything? Do the governments need to print more, which devalues everything and buying power anyways? And at what point is one XRP token worth anything if you can't buy water with it, right? Arguably, you'd be the only person buying water, so that just doesn't really make sense. This is as plausible as a dog becoming the president of a country and then single-handedly solving world hunger. It's a scenario so ludicrous that it belongs in a science fiction novel, not a serious financial prediction. So there you have it, folks. Realistically, these predictions are insane, and the only way that these prices could ever be realistic is if they literally burned the majority of the supply and then the demand increased tremendously. So yes, a $9,761 per token XRP could be realistic if we had, like, I don't know, 100 million tokens, 10 million tokens less, and then the demand was as high as like Bitcoin. But to be fair, that's probably not realistic because the company of Ripple actually uses the token and sells it into the market in order to operate, right? So like, why would they consistently burn virtually all the supply and the majority of their wealth, considering they themselves hold more than 1 billion tokens, and then go and say, okay, now it's worth this much, right? At the end of the day, it would be more harmful than helpful for their long-term projections and business goals. That said, right, there's a lot of token supply that's still not circulating in the market. And so again, not very helpful. Realistically, they're going to have more circulating as the demand grows and as the market cap continues to climb. So now we're going to hop on the charts and show you how we came to this $14.40 conclusion for a 2,300% gain from the current price of like 60 cents up to for a gain of $13.80 in 277 days. Now, the reality is there is no direct science behind predicting targets, okay? That's the reality. Nobody really knows where the price is going. You don't know, I don't know, nobody knows. Bernard Baruch, a famous investor, once said, only liars are in the markets during the good times and out of the markets during the bad times. What he really meant by that is if we always knew, we'd be lying. So I'm going to jump onto the weekly chart and give you a few different scenarios for predicting the actual targets and the reason I chose the time frame that I did. Now, what's realistic for me might not be realistic for you. It might take till 2027, 2028. It could be as early as this year into the next in April, May of next year. So I chose the target of April 28th of 2025 to be my local top for the mid to short term. In terms of a new higher high, upwards of like $20, $30, whatever you want to picture, that would really probably come into future markets if XRP hit and maintained probably $1 trillion market cap. So the first drawing tool that I am going to grab is a pitchfork, and you can grab it on the second tab right here, and then I'm going to scroll down to the pitchfork. Now, how I'm going to use the pitchfork is pretty straightforward. I'm going to put it at the high right here, the previous major first high. I'm going to place it right here at the major low, okay? And then I'm going to place it at the next major high, which was the $3.30 range right here. And as you can see here, it's actually painting a really interesting picture for us. I want to make sure that I'm hitting all of those points and that each one is very near to each major top and bottom. So I got it right there, and as you can see, it paints a really interesting picture. Right here we have our major high, right here we have our major low. We actually were supported right at this mid-range not once but twice, and then we actually sold off in the 2021 bull market right here at these ranges. And when you look at these ranges, really what they are is fib ranges. So right here you have the 0.5, right here you have the 0.618, and right up here you have the 1-to-1 range. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a line right here at about April 28th of 2025, okay? And I want to see where it aligns on that 1x scale. So it's going to be right about here, okay, at about $10.60. I'm going to leave that right around there. Okay. Now, why exactly did I pick the date of April 28th, 2025? The only reason I did is because typically the market in a bullish environment pumps very hard through the months of September, October, November, December, January, all the way through potentially April. And usually there's an old phrase in markets that says sell in May, look away. In May to June, usually you have your very most poor performing months. And all the way through August into sometimes September, the markets just range and do much of nothing. They're very boring, and that's because fund managers and institutional players sell a lot of assets or get out of the market. There's not really a ton of trade volume or interest because they're taking summer breaks and vacations. And so it just has this constant spiraling, effect on the market where more people do it. More people see markets are boring, so more people stop trading in the summers and they decide to go live their lives. So for whatever reason, that's typically the case, which is why I'm saying in a bull market environment, and that's what I believe we're currently in as Bitcoin is recovering, that we are sitting right here. We're at near to the end of the year into April is when I think we're going to hit a new all-time high. And that would be about a total of 277 days. Now, the next major tool or way I'm going to predict the price is I'm going to use a parallel channel. Now, I'm going to try to hit as many points in this very long-term trend as I possibly can, always remembering that sometimes you're going to get some crazy volatility either to the upside or the downside in this case. So I'm going to try to hit this point and these points all the way through here, okay? Then I'm going to drag down and try to hit as many points as I possibly can. So notice I want to hit this point for sure, and although this doesn't look perfect and we have a lot of ranging down below, I can always drag and refine my lines and try to get the most points possible. And after having refined the tool myself, I noticed that I hit this line pretty well. I hit the major low really well. I hit another top 2, 3, 4 tops right here. And then what I really like about this midline is the fact that I'm actually being supported consistently right through here, and then I'm being resisted consistently through this, long ranging price action history through 2022 to present day. So this seems to be a pretty good parallel channel. Again, it's not an exact science, but you want to get as close as you possibly can. Now what's super interesting is at that target date, I'm hitting a price of about $11. So notice how they're very similar right around there. One's at $9.60, the other's at $10.90. We'll just average it up, okay? Now, a third way you can get a proper target price would be something like a fib tool. Now, the first thing I'm going to show you real quick, okay, is I want to hit as many points as I possibly can. And in the case of fibs, it is totally fine to ignore a major volatility wick. So I want to make sure that I get just about every major local low and then potential bear traps like this and this, but in general where the price hangs out in ranges and is supported. So that looks pretty good. Then I want to go from the top, okay, down to the bottom. I'm going to double click on this. I want to make sure that I am on a fib levels based on log scale. Why? Because I'm going to log chart, okay? And so what you can see here is that at one point in time when we made that major move to the upside, we hit the 1618 upwards to the 241. Now realistically, I've done the math. The 241 is not a realistic price target this time around. Back then, the market was very small. It was very young. We didn't have as much XRP in circulation. And, it was one of the only cryptos in the space. So there was far less competition for money or, total volume. So that said, 241 is not realistic based on your, market cap and just general timing. That said, a 1618 might be more realistic. So what I'm going to do now, okay, is I'm going to take the same fib tool from here to, again, I'm going to try to touch as many points as possible and not think too much about the exact, low. And the reason for that is because this was the coronavirus pandemic, right? That major dump. So I'm hitting this range, this range, this range. That looks pretty good. And I'm touching the very top, again, from the top to the bottom. Okay, where's that 1618? And as you can see here, it's at about $21. So I'm going to put that line right there. And now we have 3 major targets that XRP could potentially hit in this upcoming cycle, potentially by April 28th of 2025, which is not too far from now. Now, the final way I'm going to approach finding a target is I'm going to use percentage scales. Pretty straightforward. I just want to look at what the percentage gains are pretty consistently whenever we break above a range high in a rectangle. So this is what I would call like a Darvis box or a rectangle. And so when we break out, how far and how fast do we break out before we chill out and paint another rectangle like we did right here? In terms of time frames, okay, the longer the triangle or the rectangle, right, the stronger the breakout. The shorter the triangle, right, typically the less strong the breakout. In this case, we had about a 4,200% gain. Again, from the top of this range right here, notice how when we broke out, how far did we break out? Right here, we broke out about 1,500%. Okay, cool. Now, let's do the exact same thing right here. Notice it's almost the exact same. Perfect. Okay, we will go ahead and see how far that climbed, about 500%. So if I took the average of these guys and then took into consideration the longer the rectangle, the stronger the breakout when it happens. Okay, this was kind of an interesting little phase. It wasn't actually as long as you would think right here to here. That said, and again, we were in a major lawsuit with a lot of uncertainty. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 3 points in terms of data, and then I'm going to average them out for a percent. So when I average those out, I come to about 1925%. So right here, you can see that I would have my rectangle yet again, right? You could go from this range or right down here. I could argue that these are, this is one whole triangle or rectangle, but generally speaking, as long as we break above this 75-cent range, then sky is the limit. So from this point in time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tool and go up 1900%. About 1920 is totally fine, and I will put a line there. And so now I have 4 different ways and methods that I came to the conclusion of either $10, $11, $15, or $21. And so when I average each one of these out, if I added $21.62 to $15.30 to $11 to $10, in total I come to an average of $14.36. So I just rounded it up to $14.40 for an even number. We'll go ahead and remove all of those drawings and then toss that line off. And so I would say that is a pretty fair target, considering if the market continues to be very bullish, if XRP gets a settlement, if we get any one of these positive catalysts, I don't see a reason why when this last bull run we didn't reach new all-time highs and other top 10 cryptos did, that XRP couldn't easily go for a new all-time high and just based on all 4 of those variables hit at least bare bones minimum, $5 if not $14. And I would say $5 would be on the very low end. I think $14 would be more realistic in a major bull market scenario with positive catalysts combined. But at the end of the day, since nobody knows, I don't know, you don't know, I also want to have some sort of a strategic game plan in order to exit. Okay, in other words, when should I get out if $14.40 isn't hit? Well, for me, that would be my major target. So if it ever hit there, I'd probably be selling bit by bit into the range of $14.40, right? But at the end of the day, if it hit that, I'd also just be willing to get out for the majority of my assets. In other words, if I owned 100,000 XRP, I might be plenty out, but by the time we're at $10, and then if we ever reach $14, I'd sell all of it. Another way to tell when you might want to get out is when you see a bearish divergence in terms of the RSI versus price. So right here we saw, a major high of like 95 reading, and then the next major high that came in, we saw about 93. So that was obviously a bearish divergence, and then we actually ranged for a while, stayed above that 50, which is really interesting, only to see one last move up to 95 on the RSI. But in all 3 of these situations, you don't know if it's actually going to range to a new all-time high at any point in time. It could also just dump. It's good to potentially take profits once you start to hit that 93 plus on a weekly time frame here, and here. Or another way to know when you should get out is to pull up a 3-day chart. Now, you won't have access to a 3-day time frame unless you have at least the first essential plan on TradingView, which is a paid plan. It's not terribly expensive. I think it's like $13 a month, but well worth it. When you toss that 3-day time frame on there, and then you toss a 10 and a 20 EMA, okay, what I would do to know to get out was first I would say, okay, have we broke out yet? Okay, so this would be my breakout range. If we break above here, perfect. The next thing I would do is I'd toss a 10 and 20 EMA on there. And you'll notice that the price is consistently, if it's trending strong, right, bouncing off that 10 EMA and being supported for a next major move up. Whenever we break down and actually touch the 20 EMA would be a potential area to get out, unless of course you have some volatility like this, right? But as long as we don't close below, you're fine. Notice how right here we started closing below the 10 for the first time. This is a good indicator and a reading that maybe it's time to get out. A second time or a break and a failure to break to a new all-time high right here and a break below the 10 EMA would tell you something's wrong. And so these 3-4 weeks right here would have given you plenty of opportunity to potentially get out for a profit. Then what you do is you wait again for a break break above a range like this, okay, and then use the 10 to 20 EMAs to potentially get out, because it's equally possible, right, that this thing could have just done something like this. Who knows if it's going to break down or break out? You grab this tool and say, okay, it could have bounced right here and continued going higher. But typically I like to use the 10 EMA, this blue line, okay, and it could be any color for you, as a good indicator that the strength has left. And so right below here, you could argue, okay, I'm just going to watch it closely. If we bounce and we're supported off the 20, and let's say we broke back out right here but failed to break to a new high and broke down and touched the 10 EMA or broke below the 10 EMA again, that's a good indicator and a signal of weakness, and that's when I should get out. This thing broke down really fast because everybody in the world was in profit by then, and so it's really important to kind of think about those factors as well. But generally speaking, when we get a break above a range and then we're supported or touching that 10 EMA, that's a perfect time. Or a break below the 10 EMA, like right here, which you would have got out at $1.60. So not a bad profit when considering you got in at 30 cents. And so in similar fashion, you could argue we don't know where the price is going to go, but let's just say it started trending up. So for example, let's just say you get, these waves, and this wouldn't be technical Elliott wave theory, but just for the sake of this example, I'm showing you these waves. Let's say the market starts to trend up like this, okay? And then you have these EMAs on the 10 and 20, and they're consistently being supported as it breaks above the 75-cent range, okay? Over time, let's say that, the EMAs are moving upwards like this together, right? Whatever. And then what happens is the market breaks right here. And notice how right here we are below that 10 EMA, and then maybe we bounce and fail to break back out right here, only to sell back below the 10 EMA and touch the 20 EMA. At some point in time, this would be a good indicator that the strength has officially left. Now, if you see any one of those signals, whether it's a break below the 10 EMA, whether you just got a bearish divergence from the RSI and you hit like a 93 to a 95 or plus range, or whether the volume really starts to get crazy to the downside. In other words, you see big red volume bars that are bigger, which typically mean distribution. Okay, then those would all be signals that you might want to get out. So for example, look at this. This is the perfect example. Volume is increasing and growing to the upside in this positive or bullish move. Okay, then what happens? Once you start to get in here, all through this range, look at how much the sell volume has really increased. I mean, we're talking profit taking and distribution upwards of 780 million in a very early period of time in the crypto markets. This would have been a good indicator, this whole pattern right here, to start getting out. And right around here at $1.60, okay, we saw so much distribution and sell volume that it was a really, really good indicator right here to get out extra, right? Like you really don't want to be in this market anymore. So then what happened, right? Volume consistently declined until we started trending back up right around here in November of 2020. Okay, and yes, we had some volatility. Let me go ahead and just make sure that I got the actual chart. I think I got off of it. But right here, you can see how volumes consistently increase. Yes, we had a few distribution days, and that was obvious because of the SEC lawsuit and the news surrounding that. But generally speaking, the volume really started climbing to the upside. Now, you'll notice something really interesting and odd here. The volume here in 2020 was actually equally high, if not higher, okay, and only hit a price of like $2 versus the volume over here that hit $3. Why is that? Well, that's probably because at this point in time, there was less circulating supply. So the team, right, might have had the majority of the tokens in their escrows and sitting in their private wallets, or, in that wallet that actually minted the tokens. But then what happened is over this period of time, they actually started releasing more and more of the tokens into circulation. So it required far more money to move the market a lot less high. Okay, and so right back here, we had a lot of low float, meaning very few tokens in circulation and a whole load of demand, which drove the price up to insane, what you would argue fully diluted valuations. Back here, this was a more realistic move for the total amount of tokens and the volume. So I would thoroughly assume that unless more tokens reach the the market, right, that it's going to be a little bit harder for it to start hitting these insane price targets. But with the right catalyst in the right bullish environment, and if the team makes the right decisions, which I think they're going to, then the token price could definitely hit that $14.40 target. So if you enjoyed the video and you learned something, go ahead and smash the subscribe button and leave us a comment and let us know what target you think XRP is going to hit. And go ahead and leave a like while you're at it. And then go on over to bullrunners.com to discover how to earn more crypto in less than 10 minutes with the #1 play to earn XRP game. If you want to start building that XRP bag, have a little bit of extra income, whatever it looks like for you, whatever your goals are, then head on over to bullrunners.com and you can find the link down in the description. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.